That's a great question. I've never been asked that before. I don't think that beauty is only the physical. I think everyone has a capacity for beauty, both internal and external, but I see beauty in so many things, in nature and in people's smiles and in the face of a friendly dog or cat. Or I think beauty is something that is internal and not just on the skin.
Welcome to the Beauty Talk podcast, where we feature how the best medical practitioners help their patients to look better, younger, and healthier. Now, enjoy the show, and here's your host.
Daniel Gao here. I'm the host of Beauty Talk. We feature the top practitioners in health and beauty, both inside and out. I have Glenn Gustafik of Glenn Emery Skincare, a noted skincare expert with double certification in plasma skin tightening, a safe and new approach to anti-aging and skin restoration. He's also a highly trained aesthetics provider and a skincare creator, having developed his own line of plant-based, all-natural skincare that is considered a top contender and a rising new approach to a more beautiful, healthy skin. So Glenn, welcome and glad to have you here.
Thank you, Daniel. Glad to be here.
Yeah, so let's start off with this, Glenn. How did you first get interested in I'll call it the medical field?
Well, I've been in the beauty industry for over 36 years, both with hair and skin. And when COVID happened, I had two salons and spas in San Francisco, and I closed one, and then COVID closed the other one for me. And so I started delving deeper into skincare and doing research because I have a little free time on my hands. And so I just was reading more and more about skincare creation and aesthetics, and I kind of merged into that more and got further away from doing hair. I got away from it entirely at this point. But now it's become a real passion of mine.
Okay. So what was I guess the difference between those two different worlds, kind of more the hair side and now the skincare side?
In terms of culpability when it comes to being responsible for my clients' skincare well-being, I feel like I have a bigger responsibility now because it's much more technical, much more science-driven, whereas hair is a little bit pedestrian. There's a lot of hairdressers out there, but there's not a lot of aesthetic providers out there. And I really want to make a difference in my clients' skin and other people's lives as well.
Okay. Now that you have this practice, the aesthetic practice, I want to talk about some of the treatments that you offer to your clients. Jet plasma or cold plasma. Could you explain what this is? I don't think I may have heard the term, but I really don't know what's involved in it. So what is jet plasma or cold plasma?
Jet plasma is a term used to tighten the skin, brighten the skin. I have a handheld device that emits a little ozone or argon gas that goes into the subdermis or second layer of skin, causing a brightening effect, a tightening effect with no pain, no downtime. You can smell the ozone as the treatment is being provided, but there's no pain or reaction to the client. They can see instant results. The great thing about it, it's good for all skin types, all types of all ages, any kind of skin condition you can imagine, you can work with jet plasma. I work with burn victims. I work with acneic clients. I work with a lot of mature clients. I call that lived-in skin because I've got lived-in skin myself, and it can benefit everyone. So that's what jet plasma does. Usually a series of 4 to 6 are recommended for maximum results, which could last for up to 2 years.
Okay. So you mentioned 4 to 6, and I guess how much time do you need to have in between sessions? Like, is there a certain recovery time that people need to follow?
There is no recovery time at all. You could go right back to work afterwards. Again, there's no pain, no downtime. Your skin is dewy and glowing after one treatment. I like to let my clients know about every 3 to 4 weeks is the average to come in and see me. And after their package is done, then they can just decide if they want to do it again or just live with the results that they have.
Okay. And for those results, is it something that typically would last for like 6 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years, and they keep coming back for it? Or I guess it's something that they have for like a long period of time and just age starts to get to them and that's why they come back for it?
With proper skin maintenance and proper lifestyle, the results should last up to 2 years with jet plasma.
Okay. And you were mentioning as far as some people come in for burns or for acne or just generally skin tightening. How do you make the differentiation between if someone has like a burn victim or has lots of acne or just wants they have nice skin, it's just they want it tighter? Like, is it just the application and how you do the treatment, or how do you differentiate between all those different conditions?
Well, I cater every client's needs to what they're looking to have done. So, I mean, obviously, if someone comes in with burns, it would be obvious to the naked eye what's happening. But I have a very comprehensive consultation before any treatment happens. I'm asking about what their results that they're looking for, what if they could have the perfect skin, what that would look like, what they want to better about their complexion or about their situation going on. So I cater my treatments to each individual client and what their end result is going to be.
Okay. So, aside from burn or acne, what are some of the other, I guess, common conditions people might have where jet plasma could really help them?
Well, I do see quite a few women, especially with melasma, which mimics sunspots. It's basically in mature skin more often than not. I see a lot of melasma. So if they do a series of, as I said, 4 to 6, the melasma can either be toned down quite a bit or eliminated completely.
Oh, wow.
And also, it really helps with sagging, skin laxity, and dull, dry skin.
Okay. And so after people get this treatment done, I guess what's kind of the next steps that they should follow to make sure they get the most out of this type of treatment?
Well, generally, what I recommend to the client is first of all, I'll ask them what kind of skincare they're using, and I'll show them the skincare that I've created. And so, if they do a maintenance program of the jet plasma along with my skincare, they will find their results will last even that much longer. So they've got to take some accountability in terms of their home care as well. That's very important. But ultimately, it's about lifestyle, what we eat, what we drink, what the air we breathe. The keeping stress out of our lives that will really help maintain the results.
Hmm. I want to dive a little bit deeper into that part because I think a lot of people kind of have some idea of how this works. Like, okay, well, food is like just don't eat junky, greasy food. But I mean, aside from that, like also hydration, like staying hydrated. But what would you say is some of the uncommon things that people should really know about, but they just don't when it comes to skincare?
Well, it's uncommon to the general public, but sunscreen. A lot of people don't wear sunscreen, and believe it or not, you should wear sunscreen morning, noon, and night. Like before when you get up in the morning, if it's pouring down rain, you're going to want to put on sunscreen. There's going to still be damage to your skin. That's one thing that people aren't quite aware of. Another thing that they've got to understand that they think that is now the norm is that a trend is not always good. So the whole beef tallow trend that blew up on TikTok isn't actually that great for your skin. It's comedogenic, meaning it's going to clog your pores. It might make it look nice for a little while, but it's actually not doing anything for the skin.
Hmm.
So they have to be a little less excited about learning on their own and listening to someone who might have a little knowledge about it. But also, people shouldn't be afraid to go in for regular facials either. That seems to be a misconception that people think, well, it's just a luxury. Actually, it's not, because if you keep your skin clean, you won't fall to milia, which is hardening keratosis. Clogged pores can lead to other things. I mean, there's a whole variety of things you could be doing with a proper facial or a jet plasma facial.
Okay. And how does this compare to like a laser treatment? I think people are kind of a little bit more familiar with laser treatments like skin tightening and even for acne or things along those lines. How is this different from laser treatments?
Well, a laser treatment obviously is much more invasive than a jet plasma facial. You don't have to avoid work or you don't have downtime with jet plasma. Again, you can go right back to work. I call it a lunchtime lift. You can go right back to work. You can go out immediately after. Your skin will have a beautiful glow to it. Laser treatments, you generally have to post-treat with the right cream, maybe some bacitracin. You've got to make sure you stay out of the sun completely. I mean, it's very dependent on your lifestyle too. If you say I'm going to go on vacation right after my laser treatment, you shouldn't be going. With jet plasma, you can actually live your life after.
Oh,
And
okay.
it's a lot less expensive than a laser treatment too.
Hmm. How would you, I guess, compare it to the laser? I mean, we talked a little bit about like what's the downsides of the laser, but do you think that there's a place for laser?
Oh, absolutely. There's absolutely a place for laser. If somebody wants real quick results or they want a more medically based result, absolutely lasers are a great way to go about it. Someone with really extreme stretch marks, you're probably going to want to use a laser on it.
Hmm.
Also, which brings me to what else I do, which is plasma skin tightening, which addresses the needs of someone who might want to use a laser, but actually want to go a different direction that's a more natural direction.
Hmm. Okay. And is that same as your plasma lift? I know that was one thing I wanted to tie into. Is that the same, or is the plasma lift something that's different?
So the plasma pen is an all-in-one pen. There's 6 modalities. There's jet plasma with 3 modalities, and then there's fibroblast or plasma skin tightening, which is the same device but different modalities. And what that will do is actually tighten in real time because it creates micro injuries to the skin, mimicking a little tiny scab. So imagine if, as a child, most of us fell on their knees and scabbed at their knees, and the skin around the scab pulls itself tight. So if you would imagine 50 to 1,000 scabs on your face or your neck or your hands or your chest or anywhere else, your skin is instantly tightened. The fibroblasts of the skin create brand new collagen, thereby creating brand new skin. And that's what's a true plasma lift. It's a much gentler version when you do the cold plasma or jet plasma, but this is the real meat and potatoes of the plasma world, is that it really does a big job. It's referred to as soft surgery, so it's one step below special cosmetic surgery, but it's nature's way of tightening your skin.
Okay. So then, and it's using ozone, like for all the cases using ozone, or that's only for the jet plasma?
Correct.
Okay, for all of them.
Correct.
Okay,
Both
so then,
both times.
okay, so then with the plasma lift, I guess, if you can explain a little bit more, like the difference between the plasma lift and the jet plasma. It seems like the plasma lift is a little bit more heavy duty. If they need a little bit more on the tightening side, but am I understanding that correctly?
You are. So the jet plasma or cold plasma is delivered through a small diode or a little knob at the end of my device, pushing right onto the skin. So it's a direct hit to the skin, but it doesn't interrupt the skin. So you don't see the instant tightening. You don't see the redness that you see with the plasma lift. What happens with plasma skin tightening, I put a little needle at the end that never touches the skin, and a little arc of plasma light or ozone light actually reacts with the skin, and you can see it tightening in real time. And because you are leaving a little impression behind, that little dot starts out as white and then will turn pink and then will turn red the next day. That treatment, a little like the laser, you need to avoid the sun for a day or two because it does mimic a bit of a sunburn. You do need to put the cream on it. You need to follow the directions for aftercare. It's best to do during a cold time of year. Like this is a perfect time of year for a plasma lift because we don't have that hot sun outside, and it's not quite so, as uncomfortable as it would be in the summertime. But you get a more dramatic result with one treatment, whereas cold plasma or jet plasma you have to do a few times before you see your end result.
I see. Okay. So I guess in what situations or use cases would someone choose, I want to do the plasma lift versus the jet plasma?
If someone wants to see a more dramatic result, if someone has a lot of skin laxity that they really want to address, it's great for older clients with thinner skin because there's no worry of burning the skin or damaging the dermis in any way. Whereas laser, sometimes you have to be a little careful with older skin. It also does, you can do very dramatic things too with the plasma lift in that. Whereas if you were to get an injection like a Botox or a filler, that is temporary. With the plasma lift, those results can last up to 4 years.
Oh,
It's a long lasting treatment. With that being said, it's not for all skin types. I do have to do patch tests on more melanated skin because you can create hyperpigmentation if skin is too dark. Because once it heals, the little dot might stay behind. We don't want that. So you have to make sure you're the right candidate for it.
Okay. And you brought up another point that I want to ask is that how well does this work with combination treatments? Like, can you combine this with other treatments, or is it largely kind of like a standalone by itself?
Well, typically what I will do when somebody books, let's say a plasma lift facelift, I'll have them come in for the treatment. I'll do a long consultation. And before the treatment ever happens, I make sure they're healthy, they're happy, they really want to be doing this, they're in a good place health-wise. And then before any treatment at all, I pre-numb for at least 45 minutes. I do use a medical grade numbing cream. You really don't feel anything during the treatment. And then 2 weeks later, they will come in for a jet plasma treatment to aid in the healing and also show a little more tightening after the treatment. And that way they get a double dose of both the plasma tightening and the jet plasma. And we'll get a much longer lasting result that way.
Okay. And so with this type of treatment, we talked a little bit about with skincare, like some things that people should be aware of. But with the plasma treatments, what would you say some of the common misconceptions or myths that you hear about this type of treatment?
Well, sometimes people think they're going to get everything all at once. And It's a cumulative effect. You're not going to see full results right away. So if someone's expecting like a dramatic result, like a facelift, they're not going to get it. I mean, that's something that an MD has to do. I'm not a doctor. Something else is misconception that if you go online, and you can see this quite a bit, that it burns the skin, it cauterizes the skin, you're going to be scarred for life. Certain devices, certain practitioners might do that. I'm not one of them, but there are devices out there that you can buy for home use for about $25 or $30 that you can do your own skin, but I can guarantee you're not going to get the results that a professional would get. So people hear plasma or fibroblast and they automatically think burn. That's one of the biggest misconceptions out there. So I'd like to get it out there that it's not all the same, and there are people out there doing much more efficient and much safer work than what you're going to read about on Google.
Okay, so it comes down to the actual execution, like how the provider is actually doing the treatment, and even I would say the device itself. It sounds like if like you're using a medically grade like device, and people just get something that's $25 off of Amazon or Temu, it's probably gonna work a whole lot worse than your machine.
Precisely.
Okay,
Yeah.
got it. Now I want to talk a little bit more about your skincare line. So with your skincare line, could you tell me a little bit more about the line?
Well, I was working at a skin spa, and the products they had us selling there, the wholesale for the products, the least expensive thing was $65 wholesale. And as a practitioner, I would have to charge double that to pass on to the clients. And I didn't feel really that great about that. So I just did some research, took some online class courses, and figure out how to make my own skincare line. So the line that I brought forward, I now have 16 products in the line. They're all natural, not tested on animals, completely green. I add no fragrance or scent at all. I'm proud to say that they work with all types of skin, but my products are as top grade as something that you'd spend $200, $300, $400 a jar. And the most expensive price point I have is $65, which you can't beat in the high-end skincare line. The thing I like about it too is everyone I've had use my product line after a fibroblast facelift or a neck lift or hand lift, they've all come back and said, this is the best product line I've ever used, Glenn. And I've gotten rid of everything else I use, but I love your product line. I have some favorites of my own, but other people like other things more. And I'm coming out with 3 new products in the next by the end of the year, which I'm very excited about. So I'm always creating and always developing things.
Okay.
It's a really deeply hydrating, nourishing, great line that everyone who's used it has absolutely loved it.
Okay. And when it comes to this line, is there certain situations where your products would kind of work best in other situations where it can still help, but maybe it's not like to call it like the specialty?
So far, what I have found is that the most effective results I can see would be with my more mature clients, the more mature skin, because it's very nourishing and hydrating. My acneic clients, I do have a handful of acneic clients, and they do see great results. But I mean, really the best results come from treatments, facials, jet plasma, that sort of thing to kind of kill the bacteria in their skin, because nothing's going to make it go away entirely as far as products are concerned.
Yeah.
But honestly, I think that they work for all types of skin. And I'm especially proud of the fact that I work with a lot of melanated skin, so I can really help address that too, because I think that the melanated skin market is highly underrepresented. And I'd like to be part of that change to bring some more products through.
Okay. So if people have that melanated skin, then your skincare line would be a perfect fit for them.
Absolutely.
Okay, awesome. Now, Glenn, if someone is looking for this type of treatment, I'm going back to the plasma treatment. If someone's looking for this type of treatment, but they don't know which provider to go to, like maybe they don't know anybody, they're just trying to search for somebody online, what would be the most important piece of advice you can give to that person as they're doing their search, just so they can find that right person? We talked a little bit about if the execution's not right, if you just have a crappy machine, it's like you're not going to get those end results. So how can people find that good provider who knows what to do and can get them those results they're really looking for?
Well, thankfully, we have this thing called the internet that tells us everything that we need to know, whether we want to know it or not. And I think really the best way is read reviews, talk to people, reach out to people who've left reviews. Can I ask you how your experience was, or can you tell me more about it? And reach out to the practitioner. Social media, nowadays, it's like the town crier of any business. check out their social media, see what kind of work they do, see what kind of education and background they have, and how passionate they are about what they're doing. I mean, with plasma skin tightening, there's not many people doing it. I think there's about, in my area, I live in the East Bay of California, outside of San Francisco. I'd say around me, there's maybe 4 or 5 people doing it at best. And out of those 4 or 5, I know of 2, maybe, besides myself. The other 2 that I'm aware of, don't really see them online much or anything. So I think that really, if you're, depending on what area you're in, do your research, look at Google, look at reviews, reach out to them, ask questions, make a consultation appointment either in person or on video, and do your own research. Learn more and more about it if you'd like. But it's new innovation. It's going to get bigger and bigger. I'm going to be bringing on even a new device very shortly, which I'm very excited about, which will change the whole game from in plasma. So I can't really talk about it yet because it hasn't happened. So I'd be disingenuous to talk about it now. But I'm very excited about the future. And with all the technology that's happening nowadays, Daniel, the sky's the limit. In a few years from now, you'll be able to come in and get a jet plasma facial or plasma lifting facial, and it'll be akin to a major operation by a surgeon.
So is that where you think the future of aesthetics is going to go? Is like just getting better and better treatments at lower and lower prices with less and less recovery time?
I think so, yeah. I was at the aesthetics conference last year in Las Vegas, and they have devices coming like you wouldn't believe. And I'd say probably in the next 5 years, you'd be able to walk into a clinic and stand in front of a panel and you'd have full dermal renovation all at once. I mean, that's where the technology is going. Yeah.
So with the technology kind of going so quickly and evolving so fast, how do you approach the educational side with your clients? I'm sure people come in and they're like, okay, I'm just looking to tighten my skin or have a better look or have nicer looking skin. So how do you push that educational part of what their options are and what's good, what's not good for them?
Well, honestly, I think the education should come first from me and say, this is what I'm looking into, but let's address what you have going on right now. Again, plasma lifting isn't for all skin types. Jet plasma is, but I can curate an entire program for your skincare needs, whether it be jet plasma, plasma skin tightening, peels, facials, light therapy, oxygen therapy. I mean, I offer a variety of services where I'm at. So like I said, I like to tailor make all treatments to the client's wishes and desires and situation. So it's really but I always encourage people, read more about it. Here's some information. Here's a link. Tell me get back to me and tell me what your thoughts are and what you'd like to do going forward.
Now, you mentioned as far as personalizing these treatments depending on skin type and all those other factors. So how important do you believe creativity plays in how you approach your client care?
I think it plays a lot into it. I mean, you have to consider the whole person. Again, I ask a lot of questions before I even start with their program, and then I set up a program. Everything gets written down, everything gets recorded, and I make suggestions as to what they want to do based on their desires and the price. Because price factors into a lot of things these days. So, but I do sell packages of different procedures that I offer, so I can fit with any budget, any kind of wants and needs I can work with.
Okay. And Glenn, I'm sure that throughout your experience, I'm sure you have some stories to tell. Is there maybe one story that comes to mind that's a memorable story, or maybe even a challenging case that came in and ultimately how you were able to get them a great outcome in the end?
I had a woman come to see me a couple of years ago, a younger woman who she thought that her neck was too thick and she said it was a fat neck. It really wasn't, but we're our own worst critics, right? So I said, listen, let me go ahead and I will do this procedure. We talked about jet plasma. We talked about skin tightening, and ultimately we decided to go with the plasma skin tightening. Well, I did a full tightening of her neck, and I just threw in the jawline at no cost to her. Well, she ends up calling me a week later and told me I made her neck too tight, and she was afraid she wouldn't be able to breathe any longer, which, obviously isn't the case at all. But I tried to explain to her, try to calm her down, saying, it's not too tight. Skin's going to stretch back out. And she finally came back in about a week after that and said, I think it's still going to be too tight. I think I'll be okay with it. And ultimately she was happy as can be, and came back for a full face after that. But that's the only real complaint I've had about it. other than the fact that I have had people say to me, I don't see a difference. So what I will do is take a photograph the first day they come in, then I always have a 2-week follow-up, then I'll put the pictures together and say, this is what you look like 2 weeks ago, and this is what you look like today. So there's I can't speak, irrefutable proof that there is a difference.
Yeah.
So I kind of safeguard what I do that way.
Yeah. I'm sure that when people do any type of aesthetic procedures, they usually don't see the difference unless it's side by side, because like they just look at their face all the time. And some of these treatments, you mentioned, I think 4 to 6 times you got to do this before you really get the end result. So, but every single time, like you don't notice those small changes, but they all add up. So by the end of it, you're like, oh, it's completely different.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So Glenn, what's your vision for your practice, Glenn Emery Skincare?
Well, that's a good question, because I'm just about to launch some new products, as I said, and we're creating a TikTok shop to sell my products on, because regionally they're doing quite well, and we've so far shipped. We sell on Shopify and we sell on Etsy, but once we do our TikTok shop, I can actually create more products and sell more products. But really, what I'd like to do is hire one more aesthetic provider so I can focus mainly on my skin tightening, my plasma, both jet plasma, cold plasma, and my plasma skin tightening, and have someone come in, or a couple people come in and do my basic facials for me, so I can focus more on more comprehensive skin tightening and body tightening. Because I also work on the body as well. I work from head to toe. So I'd like to focus more on that, and eventually do education on my own. Even though I'm not an educator currently, when I was doing hair for a living, I worked for a major hair care company that I was a platform educator. So it's in my blood, and I'm good at it, and I enjoy it. So the sky's the limit. Who knows? And then someday I'm going to franchise the idea, and there'll be Glen Emery Skincares in every mall in America. So there we go.
That's a great vision. Okay, well, Glenn, I have one last question for you, but before I ask it, I do want to point people to your website at glenemeryskincare.com. Now, this question for you, Glenn, what does beauty mean to you?
That's a great question. I've never been asked that before. I don't think that beauty is only the physical. I think everyone has a capacity for beauty, both internal and external, but I see beauty in so many things, in nature, and in people's smiles, and in the face of a friendly dog or cat. Or I think beauty is something that is internal and not just on the skin. I'm not about changing the way somebody looks. I'm about enhancing what they already have, because I think we're all beautiful. I think every human living creature is something very beautiful. So I know that's a bit avant-garde in thinking, but I really think that it's something that we can all aspire to if we want to, but we don't have to. We can be beautiful in any skin, shape, size, face, anything. There's beauty in everything, Daniel.
Well, there you have it. Glenn sharing his expertise. So Glenn, where can people contact you and your business?
Well, glenemeryskincare.com. They can also text or call 925-350-1223, or email glenemeryskincare@gmail.com, or on Instagram @glenemeryskincare. And go ahead and follow us and check us out, and just drop us a line, or just say, hi, I saw you, I want to tell you I think that you're cool, or not. It's up to you.
Awesome. Well, Glenn, this is a blast. Thank you for coming on, and thank you for sharing your message.
Thank you so much for having me, Daniel.
Thanks for listening to the Beauty Talk podcast. Any questions, please contact the practice directly with the contact information provided during the show. We'll see you again next time. Bye for now.